With the Mario movie coming out in a couple of months and Nintendo forming Nintendo Movie Studios, a big question on every Nintendo fan's mind is what's next? A Donkey Kong spin off from the Mario movie has already been leaked, and talks about a Luigi's Mansion movie have been circulating online. However, I am more interested in what non Mario Universe movies are next in the pipeline. And a franchise bound to get some movie or TV show production is Nintendo's second biggest franchise, arguably, The Legend of Zelda, which has been rumored to be getting a big screen appearance. While the movie would almost certainly have an original story, with how radically different each Zelda game is, the movie would have to take inspiration from some installments more than others. With that being said, what's up YouTube? Jim Comics here, and these are the 5 Zelda games that a Zelda movie should adapt and the 5 that it shouldn't. I'm going to alternate between the two and start with the games that should not be adapted. These choices do not reflect the quality of the games, as some bad games may be on the adapted list and some good games may be on the do not adapt list, but rather based on the game's premises and film potential. Let's get right into it. At number 5 for not a movie adaptation is Four Swords Adventures or Triforce Heroes. Pretty much the same game. Or, like, in my eyes, pretty much the same game. Both of these games are alright spin offs within the Zelda universe, but the fact that they feature multiple links and don't have any noteworthy stories makes them terrible choices for a Legend of Zelda movie to adapt. Also, while Vati is a cool villain, the first Zelda movie would have to feature Ganon or Ganondorf, or even Demise, as the main villain. Overall, these games are just not film worthy in any way. At number 5 for a movie adaptation, we have Skyward Sword. As the Zelda game that most view as having the best story, Skyward Sword is a no-brainer for a film. Add to that the fact that it comes first in the Legend of Zelda timeline, and it is a great choice for the first Zelda movie. Admittedly, the game doesn't feature the most iconic Zelda imagery and characters, and nobody really wants Fi to be part of the first Zelda movie, so while not the perfect choice, it really is a good option. And number 4 for not a movie is A Link Between Worlds. I love A Link Between Worlds, and it is a top 3 Zelda game for me, but I really don't think it would work as a movie. Considering that it is the only Zelda game that is actually a sequel, I mean, I know there is a case for Majora, but it's a very loose adaptation, so I don't count it. It wouldn't make sense for it to be the plot for the first Zelda movie. It would not even work as a sequel to a Zelda movie, because it really is kind of a rehash of A Link Between Worlds. Of A Link to the Past. So it wouldn't make for an interesting film. Also, Ravio and Hilda are cool characters, but I don't think introducing the multiverse of Zelda games is really smart, considering the oversaturation of that topic in modern day movies, like Everything Everywhere All at Once. At number 4 for should be adapted into a movie, we have Majora's Mask. While very weird, Majora's Mask has the most interesting story in the Zelda series in my opinion. I'd go so far as to call it my favorite Nintendo 64 game by far. The concept of the moon falling and Link stuck in a 3-day time loop is very interesting, and adds high stakes and tension narratively. Skull Kid and Majora are great villains, though there is no Ganon. The game does a great job showing off the different cultures and species within Hyrule, and dealing with mature subjects, making it prime for cinematic drama. But as mentioned earlier, the lack of Ganon, as well as the lack of Zelda or the Triforce, makes it a hard sell for the first Zelda movie, but a great source material for the sequel, presumably with Zelda added in. And number 3 for should not be a movie, we have Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is a modern masterpiece, but if there is any aspect of it that is subpar, I'd say it's its story. It's a good story, but the game takes place 100 years after it, so it does work, but it would not work for a movie. It works in a game. Granted, Age of Calamity's story could be adapted, like as that story, but that would mean that the sequel would be the Breath of the Wild movie, which isn't too interesting narratively. The movie could be about Breath of the Wild, but flashback to Age of Calamity, but I feel like that would just be kind of convoluted, and would still not be all too interesting, and not best to represent the series as a whole. A small reason, but a notable one, in my opinion, is Link's design not being the traditional elf boy in green. Overall, it's not a great pick for a direct adaptation, but yeah, obviously an amazing game. And number 3 for should be a movie, Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess is a great story, and definitely feels the most cinematic of all the Zelda games. The dark tone, realistic graphics, and grand vistas make it prime material for a movie to take inspiration from. The character designs are also perfect, with Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf looking the best they ever had before and ever do afterwards, in my opinion. The designs here are just so iconic in what I picture when I think of these characters, especially Zelda and Ganondorf. Those designs are what I think of when I think Princess Zelda and Ganondorf. The Shadow Realm is a cool idea, and Midna is a great psychic. The only thing that sort of holds this one back is Wolf Link, which would just plain not work in the first Zelda movie. Maybe in a sequel, but at the same time, I mean, seeing Link as a wolf isn't the greatest concept for a movie. So yeah, not the best choice, but still a really great choice. For not a movie, at number two we have Spirit Tracks. I don't think I need to elaborate here. The Zelda movie does not need to bring trains into it. It does not fit well with Hyrule, and while I never played Spirit Tracks, I've only heard mediocre things. Additionally, Princess Zelda as a ghost wouldn't work for the first Zelda movie, but does have some sequel potential, especially with how it seems Zelda is going to die in Tears of the Kingdom, and become a ghost as well. Train fights in movies have become a stereotype, so there's really no need for this fantasy franchise to feature trains in any movie. Perhaps a reference is fine though, like whatever. Coming in at number 2 for should be adapted into a movie, we have A Link to the Past. Widely agreed upon as the best 2D Zelda game, A Link to the Past is nothing short of iconic. The story set the groundwork for the rest of the series, with an alternate version of the world, a series of dungeons, and the official establishment of the Princess Zelda design that we know today. She was present in older games, but she did not really look or act the way we expect her to. The different landscapes of Hyrule were well shown off in this installment, and it is definitely one of the most traditional Zelda games. Link's backstory is also very cinematic, with his uncle's role and his motivation. The Zelda movie will certainly take inspiration from A Link to the Past, but there is one other Zelda game that is more deserving of the movie adaptation, and I think you all know what that game is. Coming in at number 1 for the Zelda game that should not be adapted into the movie, we have Link's Awakening. Link's Awakening is a great game, there is no doubt about it. I've played through it about 3 times right now, both the Switch remake and the Game Boy Color Deluxe version, but I have to admit it is the most inconsequential Zelda game narratively. Spoiler alert, but not really, the whole game is a dream, so nothing in it matters. It doesn't even feature series staples like Princess Zelda, Ganon, or the Triforce, which would have to be in the movie. It features other Nintendo characters like Goombas, Chain Chomp, and Kirby as enemies, which would just make no sense in the Zelda movie. It really would be the worst game for the Zelda movie to take inspiration from. Perhaps a reference to Koholint Island would be alright, or the Windfish, but outside of that, like the Windfish song, but outside of that, Nintendo Productions should steer clear of this installment. And coming in at number 1, as the Zelda game that should be adapted into a movie, we have Ocarina of Time. Unshockingly, Ocarina of Time tops off this list as the Zelda game that the movie should be based off of. The game just features everything that this franchise is known for. Link, Zelda, and Ganon's designs here are pretty iconic. The enemies are unforgettable, everybody knows the Redeads, the Dodongo, and Ganon's witch caretakers. All of the main species of Hyrule are on full display in this story. The Zora, the Gorons, the Deku, the Gerudo, with only the Rito being excluded here because of their later addition in Wind Waker. The Ocarina is a legendary item in pop culture, and the alternating timelines make for a very cinematic experience. Navi, while annoying, is very iconic within the series, and Impa's appearance here would make for a really cool side character. Not to mention, Princess Zelda as Sheik would be a nice twist for those unfamiliar with the game, series, or Smash Bros. The music from this game is perfect. There are so many noteworthy dungeons, I could go on and on about how great this game would work as a movie, which is why it is undoubtedly the game that Nintendo should draw the most from when they make a Zelda movie. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment down below which Zelda games you'd like to see a movie adapt, and which Zelda games it shouldn't. I did not mention the CDI games because those don't count. Nintendo doesn't acknowledge them, so I won't acknowledge them. And they don't even have spirits in Smash Bros, so let's just pretend that they don't exist. Stay tuned for Tears of the Kingdom content when it releases by subscribing to the channel. JM Comics, out.